Today I'm in Edinburgh talking to a WABBA Pro trainer who has been incredibly successful since first doing the PT Diploma with us. She's had a remarkable story and a development of her own fitness career. Tracy Griffen with GriffenFitness.com is becoming a household name in Edinburgh. So today I'm actually talking to Tracy to learn a little bit more about exactly what it's all about. Tracy, it's been ages since we last talked to each other. When you first did the course, then you were telling me afterwards you started by going around the city on your bicycle to beat the traffic congestion so you could get to your clients in time.
Yeah, there's no way that driving around Edinburgh I could get between all my clients in time. And also, I truly believe that I didn't need to drag in loads of equipment to people's houses. So getting people fit with what I could carry in my pannier bag was a real challenge. But having a pretty sound knowledge of physiology and exactly how everything works, really meant that I could give people very effective programs.
Did you find that when you was doing that clients sort of thought, well, this is quite unique. Actually, she's coming to my house virtually whenever I want, rather than me having to go to meet her at a gym?
That was a deliberate decision. Other than the fact I love riding my bike places, and meeting people in your own home, you could also tell quite a lot. About what's going on there. If there's a bowl of sweets on the lounge room bed table or whatever. But more importantly than that, I really wanted to get across to people that they had it in themselves to be fit. They didn't need loads of fancy equipment. However, I got so busy, I was literally zipping around Edinburgh and not leaving myself enough time between sessions, and cycling can be somewhat dangerous in congested areas, so I decided to open up a fitness studio.
So are you now doing a combination of sometimes taking clients outside in the parks, which I know you used to do quite regularly, as well as using your own studios as well?
Yeah, I do kind of indoor-outdoor workouts, so quite often I'll start a workout indoors, meet the client here, they leave their stuff here, get changed if they need to. I've got a lovely park at the end of the street, which is part of the reason I chose this studio.
And what park's that called?
It's Pilrig Park. It's a very historic park, which is also an excellent running park. It's a little hill and there's lots of benches with tricep dips, and getting people outdoors I think is really important, but also then having the focus of a private studio where people didn't need to worry about what they look like. And also,
nobody watching them either?
No, exactly. I like my studio to be like their living room, so they feel really comfortable. So it is a slightly different approach to fitness, but I think it's one that's becoming more mainstream.
When you first started in the outdoor fitness, how long did you do that before you said to yourself, right, now I need my own studio as well?
I've always had 5-year plans, so I did that for 5 years. And then so that was 2004 to 2009. Because I got my first WABBA qualification in 2002. It took me a couple of years to be brave enough to start my own business, really. So I started in 2004.
And then you threw yourself into it?
Yeah, well, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it properly. So 2004 to 2009, I spent my time riding around Edinburgh, and I basically dumped my bike, go and exercise with someone, ride to the next place, so on and so forth, eating out of my pannier bag. Then it was 2010 I opened up the fitness studio. And then my 5-year plan was to expand that, so I've got 2015, that's next year. I can think about something amazing to do next year. But in the interim, I published a book to go along with a kind of ethos of exercising with the seasons, really, which is hugely important in Scotland because of the varying light levels.
Right, and your book, I think, is not actually mainstream exercises, it's more about adapting yourself to the eating plan for the year as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is a healthy living year book, I have to do this. It's based on seasonality, because what I do with my fitness clients in the middle of December is quite different from what I'll do with them in July. We still go outside sometimes, but obviously the light levels are different. I have some ladies who don't feel happy being in the dark, so we do all indoor sessions. Tend to do more focus on strength over winter, and then ramping up the cardio because a lot of people do races over the summer months. But I realised there wasn't a book written like that, and also most fitness books, you'll know this, are fairly dry.
They can be extremely dry.
Unless you're an enthusiast.
They actually don't really enthuse you to go out there and do anything.
Exactly. So I used to joke that this is a fitness book for people who don't like fitness. And I've actually, managed to get a few clients through. Just they picked up my book, and it's in the libraries and bookshops and things. And I picked up my book and I've read it and I've gone, oh, okay, well this is a different approach, you know, it's about actually enjoying it. And the website I use quite often is getfitandenjoyit.com, partly because so many people spell Griffen wrong, you know, it's Griffen with me rather than I.
Yes.
So, yeah, so get fit and enjoy it is really the kind of underlying philosophy.
And that's sort of your main focal point that you're trying to get across to your clients. And when you're doing this, with the book came out, and then you told me that you got a publisher on board.
Yeah.
So you've got a publisher as well.
Yeah.
To promote it for it.
Yeah.
And you've got it in a lot of the main bookshops in Edinburgh in particular.
Waterstones, Blackwell's, about 14 retailers, and it's sold online, of course, and there's ebook on Amazon and, I don't know, Kindle, I guess. Yeah, it's been a really good success. I do a lot of writing for local magazines and also for magazines like Ultrafit and Fitnorama. So it's still industry stuff, but I do like to take a more positive approach because it doesn't need to be all about pain or denying yourself, you know. Getting fit should be enjoyable, and I think with a lot of people, it also helps their mental state quite a lot, and that's something that's not always discussed in fitness magazines. I think it's coming around now that the connection between, you know, mind and body and the exercise, I think that's...
There's more connectivity now, and there's more awareness about that than what was before.
Yeah,
you didn't connect the two together.
No, they thought if
you
you were
did
running
one
out...
or do the other, and that's all you had to do.
Yeah, they thought if you were in a gym or running out on the ring that you were a blooming idiot, you know, quite a lot of the time. And when I first started doing outdoor fitness, we did used to have people stop us and go, what are you doing? It's like, what does it look like? But just, I mean, I don't know if it's particularly bad in Scotland. Obviously, I came from Australia, but that was 17 years ago. And when I moved over here, it is quite a different attitude. But I think it is slowly changing for the better.
There's a massive different philosophy between the southern and northern hemispheres anyway. And countries in the southern hemisphere have got totally different sort of continuity.
They've got institutes for sport, and it's seen as a desirable thing to do, whereas...
Maybe in this area of Europe we're a little bit slower off the mark.
Yes.
But I've got another question in my mind I've got to ask you, because I know when Scott and I wrote our first book together, we said never again. And then we went on and wrote another series of books after that. So are you going to write another book? And what's it going to be about?
Oh, well, I've got this...
You don't have to give us the title just yet.
I won't, because it's a cracking domain name.
Good.
I got
Okay,
3 years ago,
that's
domain
good.
name collector, bit of a hoarder.
Good.
But really about the connection between exercise and a good state of mind. As I said, I think that's something that's not really being explored. There's a lot more academic research into it now. I did a bit of psychology at university up to 2nd year, so I find that really interesting and also quite useful with my clients, you know, understanding people's motivations, and as well as getting them really good workout that works really well, and you know, losing inches off their waistline or building a biceps or whatever it is their individual fitness goal is. Quite often, to go along with that, people report better mood, better sleep, you know, and I deal with some people who are quite depressed.
We found quite a lot of trainers now are getting a lot of benefit from the wellness side of it, as much as being, you know, getting clients to be the fittest person in their neighbourhood. The wellness side is becoming a huge market. I suppose here that'll be the same. In the future it will grow just the same. You know, and that's probably the next port of call really. Wellness seems to be the new thing that's taking over from being the fittest person in the area.
It's a bit more inclusive, isn't it?
It is. I think everybody feels that they can have a go there.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be restricted by their own ability level at the moment. So going with the yearbook, you know, which you've actually done now, you also publish your own online newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's the name? Is it just your company name?
It's just a Griffen Fitness newsletter, and it's generally, it's quite personal. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek sometimes. I do a fad or fab where I try a fitness innovation, and you know...
Are you sending that monthly to everyone?
Yeah, I've got over 1,000 subscribers. I also Twitter at Tracy Griffen, and I've got Facebook presence. I do more Twitter than Facebook, I have to admit. I love Twittering. And I think it's a really useful forum for people to ask questions directly. Although, you know, booking PT sessions is obviously the way forward if they really want to move forward with their fitness. But yeah, I do quite a lot of social media and a lot of writing. And that's another interesting connection as well with exercise and creativity. So I train a number of authors, I've trained comedians, I've trained an actor. musicians who wouldn't normally be seen dead with a personal trainer. So I don't wear a personal trainer t-shirt when I'm training my clients outdoors. You know, I like to give people a bit of, you know.
It looks more like your friend rather than a trainer.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't need to have that written all over me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I find if I go for a good long bike ride, I can think up a great article in no time at all.
Yeah.
And I think also academics is a really interesting area to be investigating with fitness, because they're traditionally really kind of poo-poo physical exercise as opposed to kind of using your brain. And when you can give them scientific proof that actually exercising more will help their cognitive function, you know, that is a really powerful thing, I think. So
it's a good sales tool without it actually looking like a sales tool.
Exactly.
And I think that is the art of good business, really, for any personal trainer, is not to actually come across that you're trying to sell yourself too hard. It's almost like a cloaked sales technique. If you give the information out there, particularly when you give some free information, people pick up on it and think about it for a while, then they see it mentioned somewhere else and think, oh, that trainer down the road was talking about that. Suddenly, it becomes a referral, and if you're a bit of luck, they come along, and then you can sign them up. And you know, new clients are easy to get that way, particularly when something else is also in the media influence them on what's happening. And of course, we all know how powerful the media is. That's the big thing now. Adverts in magazines don't seem to have a response like they would have done for trainers 10 years ago. You know, local adverts in the magazines would have had customers quite literally queuing at the door. Now it's all about having it on social media and going from there or on a website and so forth.
In the 90s, I think business has changed quite dramatically.
Rapidly, hasn't it?
And it used to be that trainers were quite secretive about their knowledge, but I find by sharing it with a free newsletter, Twittering, and also I quite often do free talks. I've done some in running shops, in Waterstones, in Blackwells. I've done some really weird locations, corporate stuff. And you give people important information that they need to know, and they go away and they think about it, they've got your hand out, and sometimes they ring, sometimes they don't.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm happy if people are actually thinking about things that I think are important, you know, which is basically, you know, being fit and enjoying yourself at the same time.
Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. I think you're going to get a shed load more customers, obviously I know this next year, more followers on your newsletters. I'm sure you'll get a lot more requirements when you bring your next book out as well. They'll say, wow, there's a whole series coming out now. You know, when you're committed then, you have to do more, because there's an expectation that you're going to write another one, and I hope you do, and I hope it goes really well. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you today, Tracy. Thanks so much for your time. I'm going to be back on another WABBA Pro Trainer interview soon. Catch me then for another amazing story.